that when we are able to see each other's faces, to feel the energy that each one of us brings. You know, after the pandemic, many of us, or during the pandemic, many of us worked from home, and some of us still do. I still work from home. So every time I come here, I notice that this feels more like home than home does, because there's so much beautiful energy here. And there's beautiful energy in my home. I love the energy in my home. But my home is not a community in what we have here. So this is truly my spiritual home. So yeah, it's good to be home. We're here tonight to talk about catalyst. Who knows what this word means? Anybody know what catalyst is? Anybody? What, Sabrina, what's catalyst?
It's like the thing that it starts as kind of change, something completely uproots and it shifts.
Yes, that's 100% correct. There's a few definitions. That is 100% one of them. What else?
Something that triggers a change.
Something that triggers a change. 100% true. What else? Any other thoughts? Catalyst. So something that triggers a change. And say what you said again, Sabrina?
I'm so long-winded.
No, we got time. It's only 8:20.
Just either an event or just something that uproots everything for there to be a change.
An event that uproots things for there to be a change. Yes. And what did you say again?
Or something that triggers a change.
Something that triggers a change. Yeah, that's all right. Anybody else have anything they want to add? There's also a chemical description.
Change of state.
Okay,
Chemical reaction.
a chemical reaction, but it's a specific kind of chemical reaction.
Oh, okay.
Anybody know the specific kind of chemical reaction?
The changes in nature.
Yeah, so here, the chemical thing is it's a substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction, but without changing itself. So like fire, when it's boiling water, but the fire doesn't become less fire, or the freezer, when it's freezing water. The water changes, but the freezer doesn't, right? So it's an agent that causes a chemical reaction without the agent changing what it is. With me? There's lots of things there's tons of chemical catalysts. We talked about some of the physical catalysts, right? An agent that, provokes or speeds up an action, right? You said an agent that, say what you said again, an event?
Triggers a change.
Event that triggers a change. Okay, so that counts. But on the physical realm, it also could be like, so it's like a dam breaking, causing a flood, or an earthquake, opening up a sinkhole, or right? There's all sorts of catalysts that happen on the physical realm that cause something to happen. But again, it doesn't change. Like the event causes change, but the event itself is the catalyst. And then on the spiritual realm, we're studying this book in our Wednesday night class, this book called The Law of One, and it talks about catalysts there from the spiritual perspective. Anyone from our study want to talk about what I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 people in here? So I'll call names if nobody raises your hand. We've been talking about catalysts for about 6 months. Anybody want to, what's a catalyst?
To change it, like if people are using chemical, physical, or spiritual.
Okay. Change of awareness. So the catalyst is the change of awareness itself? Is that the catalyst?
I think it's to change your belief system and break it.
So that's the result of the catalyst.
Yeah.
That's what, so yes.
Of course I jumped.
No, that's, yes. Well, we know you're a unicorn, always flying over obstacles and stuff. We know that. Roberta, what would you say catalyst is? Everything that they've said is right. There's literally no wrong answers. But what would you say? Because you've read the whole book too, haven't you? Yeah. Yes.
Maybe it's an experience that a person goes through that might start leading her to having spiritual beliefs. It could be like a near-death experience or a supernatural vision.
Yes. That is, I think, what the book talks about, but this is just a book. It's finite, it's got a cover, and it's got a bunch of pages in between. Everything that everyone has said is 100% correct. And we're going to talk about all of it tonight from the perspective of students, right? With the student's mind. I'm only in front of you because I agreed to share what I'm studying. I'm not in front of you because I'm the master of catalysts or anything like that. I'm trying to figure this thing out like with you all, right? So we'll study it together. So when we think about catalysts, like here's some examples, right? Catalysts, now we're talking about spiritual, that can cause us, what did you say exactly? Cause us to have?
Spiritual beliefs.
Cause us to change our spiritual beliefs, right? Sometimes when we see acts of kindness, that can awaken different decisions within us, right? I mean, how about personal struggles? Has anyone ever had a change of spiritual belief as a result of a spiritual struggle? I mean, just raise your hand if that's you. Something bad happened and, yeah. You don't have to raise your hand for this one. But for many of us, something bad happens and we come here. You ain't got to raise your hand up. You didn't even see my hand. I was like stretching, right? Something bad happens that causes us to re-examine our path. It causes us to re-examine the decisions we made that may or may not have led to that experience, right? But our personal struggles, and I mean, I'm going to ask you all to just reflect for a minute. Think of one major change in your life that was not caused by a bad experience. I'll wait. Who has one? You don't got to tell me what it is. You can just raise your hand if you've had a major spiritual transformation that was not the result of a bad experience. You have. Okay, couple. Okay. So out of, that's less than 5% of the room. So y'all elevated ones, maybe you can talk to us after that. As the rest of us usually we end up in a dark night of the soul. We end up in some profoundly painful experience, and we realize that something greater is happening, and it allows us to, even if we don't make the choice to choose something different, we start asking really good questions. And that's the beginning, right, is questioning. That's basically questioning. Both all of these are just some. What other kind of catalyst besides what you see here? When we think about what's your name, sir?
Kayo.
Say it again? Kayo, okay. So Kayo mentioned things that happened that cause us to question or change our spiritual beliefs. This is just 4 things. I mean, there's got to be 4,000 of them, at least, right? So help me out here, right? Let's learn together. What are some other types of experiences that cause us to question our spiritual beliefs?
Maybe immersing yourself in family.
Immersing yourself in family, like family drama.
I was thinking more, family love.
Family love, okay.
Finding appreciation for them, and maybe growing together, realizing that you're born in that family for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason there for everyone to grow together.
Mm-hmm. Like that. Sabrina, I think I saw your hand.
I think maybe something where you're presented with visually a different path, very different from whatever trajectory you are on or you think that you're on, and you all of a sudden get hit with there are different timelines that could be chosen perhaps.
Did you hack into my email and look at the I just wanted to show you all the Did you walk up here and look at the I know, I saw you.
It would be easier if I said I did, probably.
Yeah. Classic example of there being one consciousness that we all tap into, right? We really think that there's a bunch of different consciousnesses. That's a tongue twister. But honestly, there's often one higher reality we're all looking at. The primary purpose of a spiritual catalyst, as we've been studying, is to spark the choice of which path we want to take. Right? You said it beautifully, right? It's which direction do we want to go in, on which timeline? Which way do we want to go, and what timeline will we have, right? and we think about where is it that we want to go, we have to think about what's important to me about the destination. We think about our spiritual journey. If we're on a spiritual journey, where are we going? Like, do we have like a destination in mind? Right? And I'd like to ask you all. I mean, is there anybody in here that's not? Just raise your hand, you're not on a spiritual journey. Just raise your hand, you're not. Nobody. So we're all on a spiritual journey. Where are we going? Where are y'all headed? Who wants to, anybody? What's the destination you're after on your spiritual journey? Anybody? There's no wrong answers, because look, a lot of roads, a lot of, where? Jupiter. Okay, cool. Jupiter. Where are y'all headed?
On my spiritual journey, I think my purpose is to get to know myself and experience love through who I become and finding the true essence of who I am.
Getting to know love, finding the true essence of who you are, knowing yourself. Yeah, self-knowledge.
And what I see in that picture is like the path that I always knew because of the programming and everything. And because I became aware there's a different path, which is love and being within myself. And that's where my decision comes in which path I'm going to be taking. The one that I always knew, or I thought I knew, and the new one that I became aware of that exists. That I can follow through.
So you see two paths. One of them is love. And what's the other one?
Programming is whatever reality we did before becoming aware.
Okay.
That there is a difference.
Okay. So love and like ignorance. Okay. That's valid. So maybe hearing your spiritual family share their journey destinations. There's no bad destination. And for the love of God, we're all here on the same road right in this moment tonight for a reason. Must be because we have something to share with each other, something to learn from each other, right? I'm just here to ask the questions, right? Destinations. Where are you headed, Renato? What's your spiritual journey? Where are you going? You're going Na Solar? Where are you headed? Say what? Yeah.
I'm here definitely to evolve and to get more connected. Power. I'm going to share something quick. I was
Take your
in
time.
a very dark place. And I said, either do this or this, to stand up for that. And I took a path. And I started to have a presence of somebody who passed very strong. Like, and I didn't stop crying every time I think about him. Just from 2 minutes, he get closer to me, he becomes seconds, and he got to the point that one day I almost suffocated him. And I got so scared, and I cried for over an hour, and I told my friend, I heard something that like, we together in this. I started a business, and which I realized was my passion, but I forgot about it. And I told my friend, when I come back to the United States, and she says, you're not ready to incorporate in my body. So you have to go to the center. It's not a joke. Here. And since I'm here, I just keep getting more connected, and more connected. And I'm telling you, God, the universe, whatever you want to call, He hasn't been doors for me, but He's opened gates. And every
Gates.
single day is a miracle.
Wow.
And the signs that I see, because I see a lot of signs and numbers, today was slapping in my face. It was like, pop, 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 pop. And it's just like, I asked for signs, and I get it. And I'm telling you, He's opened me.
Wow.
I have choose everywhere.
Wow.
Nobody.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm not sure if everyone could hear him. So I think what I got from what our friend said was in a dark place, and felt the presence of a spirit nearby, and got some guidance, right, including coming to the center. And part of what has happened for you since you've been here is you feel more connected, and you feel that there's miraculous goosebumps, right? That there's a miracle taking place. This is the beauty of this place, right? And if we think about what we're talking about, this catalyst is that dark place that you were in. Sounds like it was a catalyst, right, for this spiritual manifestation that offered this opportunity of a miracle, right? Because make no mistake, this place is a miracle. There's a reason why when you come in here, you feel better automatically.
When you say like feels home for me, I've been saying like, I feel so home here. I don't want to leave. And I need so much peace to know. I'm sorry, just emotional.
No, it's okay. This is look, we're family. This is why we're here.
I never want to leave.
He said he feels so at home here that he never wants to leave. You agree? Yeah. Something happens. I mean, if anyone has ever had the experience of having a really bad day, whether it's a physical bad day, like you had a headache or a stomach ache or you're tired, or maybe it's an emotional bad day where you did a lot of crying, somebody hurt your feelings, or maybe we acted unskillfully in a way that we're ashamed of, right? Or a spiritually bad day where our spiritual path just looks dark ahead of us. But you come here, if you can fight through it and come here, you feel better instantly, right? This has happened to me I've been coming here for years. There's never a time that I've felt like that and came here that it did not change. And when I say it changes almost in the parking lot. Like by the time I can feel it falling off, and then as soon as I get in the door, I'm like, okay. Now, why do y'all think that is? What do y'all think that is? The energy, okay. So energy also powers light switches. And the spiritual energy. Yeah. There's a reason why we say this house is a spiritual school. It's also a spiritual hospital, right? It's a conduit. I love that word. And it's also a catalyst. It's a catalyst too. We'll talk more about that. But when we talk about the two paths, so we heard a couple of, love and ignorance. I mean, there's almost any polarity that's out there that we could call the two paths. The path of light, the path of darkness. The path of love, the path of hate.
Spirit and matter.
Path of spirit, path of matter, right? What are some other dualities we could call these two paths? Light, dark, love, ignorance, fear, love, spirit, matter. What else? Guilt and love, powerful, guilt and love. Charity, selfishness. Sabrina, I saw you cooking. What? I can see your cooking face now. Come on, serve us a dish. What are you thinking?
Just heart and mind. Just
heart and mind.
Your intuition, what you've been told, what you've been shown your whole life. And then, but what you've been shown and told your whole life by different beings.
That have informed our belief systems, the acronym for which is BS. We are full of belief systems, aren't we? Yeah. Well, in the context of this book, it talks about two different paths that are mutually exclusive, that you make a choice, and that there are catalysts that can happen in our life that can produce this choice. But the choice is about service. I heard someone say charity and, you said charity and selfishness, right? So that's very similar to the way that this book describes it, which is the path of service. But you're either in service to self or you're in service to others. One path or the other. And there's no right or wrong. There's no bad or good, right? It's just one is serving self and one is service to others. So when we think about that, we've been studying this for months now. And those of you that were here, anybody here last week to hear the talk about the new earth? Anyone here last week? A couple people, right? So Luigi was talking about, the transformation that our planet is undergoing, right? The process of this planet raising its vibration to the vibration of love. Because our current vibration or density that we're at is not where love is the predominant energy signature. We see that, right? But we also see that there's a transformation happening. We see that. We feel it.
Right.
Those are, say what?
Gradually.
I'm going to leave time out of it, well, because sometimes change can happen faster than the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So we'll just say change is happening, and time is elastic the way that we know time. So, yeah, gradual is one way to say it. I'm not saying it's wrong. So, service to self, service to others. Neither one is wrong. But Sabrina earlier talked about the timeline, right? If the destination, if the moon or Jupiter, where we're going, is the destination, as Roberta said, of self-awareness and awakening to the love that's within us. And there's two ways to get there. Are the timelines different? Mm-hmm. Now, no cheating, those of you that know, that have been in the class. Those of you that aren't in the class, what do y'all think? Which path do you think would get us quicker to wherever it is you're going, whether you're going to self-awareness, whether you're going to the path of, I think you said, awakening to your connection with love, right? Which path will get us there quicker?
Service to others.
Service to others? Why? Why do you think that?
Because I think you expose yourself to a multiplicity of experiences, and also it's a path that you can take in unity instead of having to do it all yourself.
Mm-hmm. Love that. That's beautiful. I should have talked to you before I did this. Next time, Kyle, I'm going to talk about this. What else? Does anybody disagree with Kyle? That the path of service to others might get us to that ultimate destination of helping this planet raise its vibration, go through its transition to the new earth in the vibration or density of love, in this fourth vibration, this fourth density, this fourth dimension, as we've been hearing about. We all know it's happening. Why would service to others be the faster timeline? Thoughts?
Because it implies a greater number.
It implies a greater number. Well, say more about that.
Yeah, for example, if I work by myself, or for myself, it will only be me, myself. But if I work for others or try to teach other people, then the number will increase. Not just me. Not just me.
Mm-hmm. So let me make sure I hear what you're saying. So you're saying that if we take the path of service to others, that we are helping the transformation happen more rapidly because we're having an impact on more people. Okay, that makes sense. You were going to say something? Say your name for me.
Louis.
Louis. Okay, Louis, what were you going to say?
I think it just raises your energy, and it raises the other person's energy because you make the other person feel good, and you feel good because you just like make the other person feel good through love.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend today told me he doesn't deserve me as a friend. And I say, you were there for me when I needed, and you deserve the world. Don't ever say you don't deserve it. Yeah. Regent told me once that he said, you always tell yourself that and I'm so sorry, just the word went, that I deserve the best. And I'm open to all the gifts that the spiritual world has to give me. But he just raised everybody's vibration. Today I wake up and I had a friend who was bullied growing up in school. And he so much his head that he had a lot of problems. He asked for money. I was waking up and I was like, do I go public account? Post a picture. I do it for you in a minute. So I gave chat, gone, chat, whatever. And I did the, I feel like head injury, bullying, school, and he said, my God, thank you so much.
And how did you feel? Yeah. Let's talk about the path of service to others. In this book, it's a series of question and answer. And the question was asked of the social memory complex or collective consciousness, Ra, who's given us this book, of how, what's the best way to be of service to others? Now, side note, we are studying this book that has a series of questions and answers that are numbered. Now, I searched for this passage. There's an online version of this book called thelawofone.info, and it has a search tool. And I was just looking on, guidance on how to be of service to others, and I found this. And ever so randomly, tonight, this was the question we were studying. I'm not lying. I was a book this thick. So, it says how to be of service to others. It says the best way of service to others is the constant attempt to seek to share the love of the Creator as it is known to the inner self. This involves self-knowledge and the ability to open the self to the other self without hesitation. So let's unpack this a little bit. So first of all, other self. Other self. What do y'all think that means? Other self. Me and you. Okay. Sabrina?
I think the you that's just in another body.
The you that's, the other self is the you that's in another body. Yeah, I like that. What if we all treated each other like it was just the you in another body? How quickly would this change we're waiting for to this new earth we heard about last week happen? Talk about timeline?
Like you said, a blink of an eye.
In the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. So, well, first of all, let's talk about best, right? There really isn't any best. It's as the passage goes on, it's different for everybody, right? There's really no best. It's the best is finding the way inside of us that feels natural. But it says the constant attempt to seek to share the love of the Creator as it's known to the inner self. So that means we've got some work to do to find out what is the love of the Creator inside of us, right? The self-knowledge, so we talked about what's our destination on our spiritual journey. We heard Roberta say the destination for her is self-knowledge, right? And we have to be aware that if we want to share the love of the Creator as it's known to us, we've got to know ourselves and where that love is, what it feels like, so we know how to access it, to offer it to the you that's in another body, right? I love that, the you that's in another body.
You cannot teach what you don't know.
And you cannot give what you do not have, period, right? And it's not that we don't have it, but you see, there's this book called, I'm going to pull it out of my consciousness, The Master Key System by Charles F. Hannell, where he talks about in order to make use of all of the divinity you have to take mental possession of it before you can take physical possession of it. So we have to be mentally aware that we have something before we can access it and make use of and benefit from and offer to others. So we have to take mental possession before we can take physical possession and have actual possession. Because if we're not aware that we have it, I mean, if you have $1 million in the bank and you don't know about it, you can't spend it, you can't borrow it, you can't do anything with it. Well, our divine identity is like an unlimited debit card. It never is declined. But we can't spend it if we don't know it's there. So we have to do some digging. We got to walk through something to get there. And we're going to talk about that without hesitation in a minute. But how do we do this? How do we find the love of the Creator inside? How do we engage in this self-knowledge that will give us the ability to open ourselves to the us that's in another body without hesitation? Y'all know what hesitation means, right? Fear. It means I would do it, but, and then what's happening in that, we're thinking about this is where we start thinking, instead of all of the solutions, we start itemizing every problem that the solution has. Instead of all of the problems the solution will solve, we start, right? That's the, so how do we get through that? Well, the path to self-knowledge starts with going through, somebody said a gate earlier. Yeah, somebody said gate, right? The gateway to intelligent infinity. Well, that's a fabulous phrase, isn't it? The gateway to intelligent infinity. I mean, if you thought there was a gateway to intelligent infinity, would you want to go through it? I want to go through it. And intelligent infinity is what? It's simply the infinite loving intelligence. Somebody gave a bunch of different names for the divine. There's all the names. In fact, in Islam, there's like 99 names for Allah, and they're all beautiful. The magnificent one, the beneficent, they're all true. This whole religion is, you know, Muslims are this and Christians are that. We're talking about intelligent infinity. The minute we start adding a religion to it, it becomes finite. So we're talking about infinity. When we think about the gateway to intelligent infinity, we think about it, we think like this kind of thing, right? The sun, the moon, the stars, it's infinite, and wow, where do I have to go take a Star Trek plane and jump in the... No, it's so simple. I was talking to Luigi a couple of months ago, and this is how these weird like coincidences happen, right? Like the passage we read being the one we studied tonight. We were talking about this idea of the you in another body, right? And I was like, well, I kind of see it, you know, the way I think about it is kind of like the only way I've been able to really wrap my mind around this you in another body concept, right, is imagining like a balloon, right? And inside is like the universe, and like there's like this hand that comes out, and there's little fingers that are looking at each other and thinking that they're different. And literally, I said that to him in private. Nobody was around. Literally the next week in our study group, like we have a group chat, the very picture was in our chat. I dropped my coffee when I saw that. I was like, what on earth is this? I mean, it's a very clownish, cartoonish picture, but sometimes we have to kind of dummy things down for us to get it, right? Because I mean, that was the best I could do, and I was reaching to get there. Hilarious. We think it's this. It's this. It's so basic. So I sometimes just get speechless, right? With the whole point of this destination, this spiritual journey, it's not understanding this, it's understanding this. When we move from here, then it becomes really easy to love each other. That if we saw as a you in another, you know, the other you in the other body, then raising the vibration of this planet is instantaneous. It happens everywhere, everything all at once. And if you saw that movie, it's absolutely chaotic. But the underlying theme, has anyone seen that movie? It's so chaotic. It's so chaotic. But everything, it's so chaotic. But really, it's a beautiful illustration of it's all happening like right now. It's all happening right now. So we're gonna get close to wrapping up here. So how do we open this gateway, right? So there's no best way. There's infinite number of ways to get to infinite intelligence, but I pulled a couple of things from the book because we're studying it, and there's a book by Dale Carnegie. Is it Dale Carnegie? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? It's Dale Carnegie, I think. The 8th Habit is the second book in that series, and the whole book, The 8th Habit, is about deepening your mastery of something that you're learning by teaching it. It makes no sense, right? But it talks about engaging our ego because we don't want to look like we don't know anything. So you'll study deeper if you know you're going to teach it. So now my ego is just as powerful as anybody else's, so I may as well put it to good use periodically. So I'm like, maybe if I, you know, as I'm wrestling with it, maybe if I like start trying to talk about it and group study, and there's a phrase here called teach, learn, right? Teach/learn. And that's because every time you teach, you're learning, right? Right. Or you're learn/teaching, because as you're learning, people are watching you and you're teaching. So how do we open this gateway? Here's in the, there's this written in this book is organized into sessions, right? Recorded sessions where there's these question and answers. And I think it's the 4th session, I didn't put the citation here, but first, the gateway can only be opened in silence. That's the first step in opening this gateway, is silence. And if you analyze the amount of noise in your world, silence is almost an impossibility if we think about physical silence. But did you know that even if there is external chaos, there's silence inside of us that can be accessed? And if you don't know how to do that, come here every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. We can help you do that. That's our meditation. And then this analyze and balance self. So this starts to help us answer the question, why don't we love? Why do we treat that self in the other body so poorly? Why are we not in service to others? It is from a failure to analyze and balance self. Remember, service to others involves self-knowledge and the ability to open the self without hesitation. So this is the recipe from this book, because all good books have recipes if you're willing to cook, right? So the recipe, get still. The analyze and balance self from session 4. The analyze the self is look at all of the things we love about ourselves and look at all the things we hate about ourselves and know that they are one and the same. For every single thing you hate about yourself, there's a corresponding, its polar opposite also exists in you. If you have the tendency to be rageful, you also have the corresponding capacity to be deeply peaceful. If you are a spendthrift and a poor budgeter, inside of you is also something that knows the value of fiscal responsibility. If you are someone that has a difficult time trusting people, correspondingly, its polar opposite exists in you, which is the capacity to know deep and profound loyalty and love. It's all in you. That's the analyze and balance. It's check inventory and then realize that the polar opposite of any possible thing you could judge about yourself, the opposite also exists. That's some self-knowledge that happens right there. And when we accept the totality, the completion of ourselves, we start to drop into the bubble because it's the same in all of us, right? And then you see yourself whole as divine love. And the next step is offer that to others. So when you see you in another body, and you say, oh, look at the way they're driving, or oh, look how they said X, Y, Z to me. So then what is it? Bad driving. That person also has the capacity, your other self has the capacity to be a good driver. And your other self, who said something unskilled and unkind to you, also has deep, profound kindness and love in them. And when we recognize that, it frees us from the judgment that stops us from offering that divine love, which, remember, right? Because we can't even start being of service to others till we get through this. We got obstacles in the way, and this is some medicine to help us. It's just one, we live in a world of spiritual pharmacy, which we call catalyst, right? This is just one prescription. All right, so we're getting close to being towards the end here. So, get still, get quiet. Analyze the parts of yourself you love. Analyze the parts of yourself you hate. Realize that their polar opposites exist. And notice that you are complete in your polarity, that you have the entire universe of polarity inside of you. So if you have the universe of polarity inside you, you know what that actually makes you? One. Talk about paradox, right? And when you have that oneness and you can offer it to others, that is how we can begin on the path of service to others. And when I say remember the fingers, you know what I'm talking about, right? That's this. Sometimes when it gets to be rough, it's just a you and another body, right? And the thing is, we don't have to wait for a catalyst, right? We don't have to wait for a substance that causes the rate of a chemical reaction, right? What's it going to take for us? Does it have to be a catalyst? Do we have to wait for the dam to break? Do we have to wait for the dark night of the soul? Do we have to wait for, Kaio, I think you had mentioned, a profound experience with family, right? Do we actually have to wait for an event? No. We're just talking about catalysts because it's one of the ways it can happen. And the purpose of talking about catalysts is not only is it one of the ways, but it can give us something to pay attention to besides all of the problems we think solutions have. Right? Right? What if we were on the lookout for the very thing that would help us choose that path? What if every time we were sitting in judgment, we asked ourselves, is this the time to choose? Could I pick my path now? Could I? Will I? And sometimes picking the path can feel like too much, so there's small things that can be done, right? Start with small things. This stuff you can do today. Because sometimes picking my path like tonight can feel like really, really big, right? So maybe you just start looking at your beliefs. Remember I said we're full of belief systems, BS. Right? Start questioning that. If it stinks, it's worth an examination. Right? See yourself as whole, balanced. See yourself as divine love because, if you got love and hate inside of you, if you've got peace and chaos inside of you, if you've got spendthrift and fiscal responsibility inside you, got all that inside of you, all that together, that's love that we have all of that. Like we're infinite. That's worthy of love. And we do, Tuesday nights, we have this practice that we do periodically called loving kindness practice, or metta, M-E-T-T-A. And it's a very simple practice, but it's not easy, right? And basically, you fill yourself with divine, infinite, unconditional love, and then other self in another body, you in another body, by one, you start addressing the yous in other bodies, and you offer 3 little things. You don't even offer love because that's too hard for us. You offer 3 things. We say, may you be happy. May you be at peace. May you experience well-being. Happiness, peace, and well-being. Because we're still figuring out how to love. But we can offer, maybe happy. You don't really want people to be miserable, right? You want people to be happy. You don't want people to be, to not be at peace, right? You don't want people to be ill. You want people to be well. So we just start with little baby steps, right? We practice that Tuesday nights. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you experience well-being, right? Offer that to your other selves. See them as whole, balanced. When we start to take, because we don't have no problem analyzing other people, our yous in other bodies. We have no problem analyzing our other selves. So as we do that, see them as whole. Whatever we see in them, we see their opposite and complete and total, in total, and divine love. And maybe tonight, think about it. I respect all of your free will, so don't say it out loud unless you want to, but think through what could you do tonight? Like what one belief, what one little stinking thought that we have could we examine? Just one. What's one person, just one you in another body that you could choose to see as divine love? Just for tonight, like not forever, just tonight. Just tonight. What's one small thing you could do? Just take a minute and think about what's one small thing you could do tonight if you wanted to advance on your spiritual journey, to awaken to your own divinity, to help this planet transform to the vibration of love, and to see each other as one. What's one thing you could do? These are just small things. There's many, many other things. But the last thing I'll leave you with, and we are done, is look at your hands and remember who you are. Remember the little hands in the bubble? You got a reminder with you all the time. these hands actually represent our oneness with all that is. It's the little fingers in the bubble pretending that we're different, right? We can look at our hands and remember who we are. Well, that's what I had for you tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. Can you do the pass? Can you come to the pass? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cara. That was beautiful. We are going to do the announcements, right? That was actually really good.